Silver may surge to $100 thanks to AI. That's a catchy title for this article on Seeking Alpha. Is it more hashtag triple-digit silver hype, or is there something worth looking at? Let's get into it. If you're unfamiliar with Seeking Alpha, it's a financial content platform and community focused on stock market analysis and investment ideas. Its content is crowdsourced. Much of the analysis and research comes from independent contributors, not just professional analysts. Okay, authoring an article on Seeking Alpha does not make one an expert. With that caveat in mind, let's investigate this journalist's take on silver to evaluate whether it's worthy of the hashtag triple-digit silver. I'm adding that hashtag into the discussion because, although not specifically mentioned in the article, it does use the phrase triple-digit to catch the attention of the triple-digit silver crowd. Silver could become a popular metal if the Fed decides to ease its monetary policies. Check. Essential not just for green energy transition. Check. In 2011, the gray shiny metal used to trade for as high as $50 per ounce. Check. So far, we're following the triple-digit silver manifesto. The heart of this article is on AI, which is a new twist. Let's continue. AI technologies also require heavy usage of silver. That's true. AI is a thing that's growing and not going away. It'll be used in everything. Consider this. Coin grading. It's a process of evaluating wear, toning, and other factors to arrive at a standardized grade for a particular coin. While trying to be objective, coin grading often fails to arrive at consensus due to subjective factors. The use of AI could eliminate the accuracy concerns of human-graded coins from PCGS, NGC, etc. AI is coming, and in many ways, it's already here. So then, we have to ask, how much silver is that going to take? The author said, heavy usage. How much is that? 10,000 ounces annually? 50,000? 100,000? Nowhere does the author state how much that is. The article lacks clarity and often presents incomplete information. For example, regarding the Hunt brothers' attempt to corner the silver market in the late 70s, at the time the brothers Hunt cornered the silver market and stockpiled large reserves of physical metal. Partially correct, they did stockpile physical silver. Alongside physical silver, the Hunt brothers also heavily invested in silver futures contracts. These contracts allowed them to control the delivery of silver at a predetermined price on a future date. It was the buying of these futures contracts, primarily on margin, that brought their scheme to an end. New government regulations were enacted that limited margin buying of silver futures, forcing a margin call on the Hunt brothers while at the same time crashing silver prices. Okay, that's how you bring the Hunt brothers into the conversation. I don't know. I'm just not buying the author's arguments. They're weak and undeveloped. I'm just going to call it here. It looks like this article was written by AI, or at the very minimum, AI assisted. Gray shiny metal, 3 times. Nobody calls silver the gray shiny metal. The description accurately identifies silver's key features but lacks the specific emotional and cultural connotations associated with it. Let's scrap this whole article. It's a clickbait piece. How about some real talk about future demand for silver? Let's talk about cars. They use silver, lots of silver. According to a report from the Silver Institute in 2021, typical internal combustion engine vehicles use up to 30 grams of silver. That's nearly 1 troy ounce. Full battery electric vehicles are expected to use up to 50 grams. I know, some have said EVs use 1 kilogram of silver each, but I just haven't seen any evidence to support that. What we're talking about is roughly double the silver demand for the same number of new cars. The forecasted total automotive demand for silver in 2021 was 61 million ounces, and is estimated to reach 88 million ounces by 2025, according to the report. Battery electric vehicles have been in the news lately because nobody's buying them. They are too expensive, offer a limited range, are prone to self-immolation and have excessive refill, i.e. charging times. What are the kids and dogs supposed to do during a 45-minute recharge? I think that's just a blip and will get worked out over time. In all fairness, battery electric vehicle technology is still in its infancy, with a long way to go before it can realistically become a viable alternative to internal combustion engines. Meanwhile, car makers around the globe have gone all in on electrification. Want to know when every car brand plans to go electric? Here's your answer. Jaguar, 2025. That's when Jaguar says they're going to go all electric. Alfa Romeo, 2027. The lineup will go 100% electric by 2027. Chrysler, 2028. Lotus, 2028. Aston Martin, 2030. Bentley, 2030. Buick, 2030. Cadillac, 2030. Genesis, must be some foreign brand, 2030. Lexus, 2030. Maserati, 2030. Mazda. Mercedes-Benz, 2030. Mini, 2030. Rolls-Royce, 2030. Volvo, 2030. Audi, 2033. Chevrolet, 2035. GMC, 2035. Acura, 2040. Honda, 2040. BMW, 50% by 2030. Dodge is phasing out the Charger and Challenger after 2023. It's going to be replaced with what they're calling e-muscle. Sounds boring. Ferrari. Ford by 2030, 50%. Hyundai. Goes on and on. Infiniti by 2026, 2028. Jeep plans for 50% of its North American sales to be electric by 2030. Kia, 2035 in key markets. Lamborghini, Mitsubishi, Land Rover, by 2025, 60% of electric sales. Lincoln, by 2027, they'll have an E version of every vehicle. Nissan, by 2030, 40% of its vehicles. Porsche, 80% electric by 2030. Ram has pledged to go all electric. Subaru, 2026. Toyota, they expect to sell 3.5 million EVs by 2030. Volkswagen, half its vehicles by 2030. The big story with battery electric vehicles is not just the increased demand for the cars themselves, but the electricity needed to charge them. We're going to need lots more electricity. Since we're all going green, that means no new coal or natural gas-fired plants. And there doesn't seem to be much will to build new nuclear or hydroelectric power. That just leaves wind and solar, which is what the powers that be are going all in on. Demand for silver from photovoltaic cells is expected to reach 161 million ounces in 2023. Even with structural design improvements to reduce silver loadings in solar cells, demand for the solar industry is estimated at 225 million ounces in 2025, a 40% increase in only 2 years. Silver is in undersupply, meaning there is more demand than both mining and recycling can supply. It's been that way for years. While a supply shortfall exists, it is currently compensated for by substantial existing stockpiles and investor holdings, acting as a buffer. Eventually, those holdings will evaporate, and with no practical substitute for silver, there's only one way for the price of silver to go. I do not doubt that eventually silver will reach a price of $100 an ounce. Just when is much more uncertain. The triple-digit silver crowd believes it will happen soon, much sooner than I do. AI will be an important step in getting us there. Materially, it will not directly increase demand a great deal. More server farms will not increase annual demand by the tens of millions of ounces it would take to move the needle on silver price. The real story of AI is the new strain it's putting on an already strained electrical grid. More power supply will have to come online to feed those hungry server farms. Just like the automotive sector, primary silver demand for the product results in a secondary demand for an even greater supply of electricity. That's the real story here. Let us know how you feel, and be sure to hit that like button if you found any of this useful. I would be so grateful because it truly does help the channel. If you're interested in seeing more content like this about safeguarding your future by stacking precious metals, be sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on. Thanks for sticking around until the end. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.